Yo, yo, yo! Welcome! I am here. Oh, I need to click on the game so I can actually move it around. To talk about HuoHuo Luigi, however you pronounce her name. She's been out for about 5 or 6 days now, and I want to talk about her and how she compares to the other premier abundance character in the game. That being... Oh, I went way too far. Luocha. Now, I've gone through and done some math, and I kind of want to talk about her healing outputs, her utility, and sort of how I think she fits into the game as a whole. So, first of all, let's talk about the Luocha and the HuoHuo I'll be comparing. So I have a 6,520 HP HuoHuo being compared to a 2,932 attack Luocha, and their traces are relatively similar. 7 in the talents, 10 in the skill for Luocha, with 10 in the talent and 8 in the skill for HuoHuo. So very similar, just one more total in healing skills for the HuoHuo. So I feel like this is a fairly fair comparison, I should say. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So I have the math written down on my phone. So it's kind of switch over to I'm on HuoHuo, okay. So her talent healing for 4.5% of HuoHuo's HP plus 120. With the amount of HP my HuoHuo has, comes out to being 413.4. With a, so I think I rounded that to 413 in my math. I need to adjust because don't mind my chair. With 6 activation limits per use of her skill, it comes out to a max of about 2,500 healing. Give or take like 20 or 30. I did a bit of rounding to make my life a little bit easier. So 2,480 max healing per use of her skill with her talents. And then her skill itself has 19 with 8 points is 19.6% of her HP plus 497 on the primary targets, with 15.6% of her max HP plus 397 to any adjacent allies. Bringing that to be the primary target heals for 1,775, with the adjacent allies healing for 1,414, with a max potential healing, if the full healing goes through and there's no excess healing, of 4,603. Now that is a hefty chunk of healing. But let's get into Luocha for a second, because it sounds like HuoHuo has a decent amount of healing, but when we get into Luocha's numbers, boy howdy, it's hard to compare the two, to be completely honest. Okay, so now we're talking about, I have a bit of a cough, so I'm still been trying to get over that. But let's start with Luocha's talents. Healing for 16.2% of whenever an ally attacks. Healing for 16.2% of Luocha's attack plus 199 comes out to 413. No, actually, I'm looking at the wrong one. 674. So that is already higher than HuoHuo's talents. But that's also not taking into account the trace that makes it so whenever an ally triggers the talent, all other allies heal for 7% plus 93, which ends up being 299. So that 299 times 3. So with a total max potential healing of Luocha's talents being 1,571 for one attack. Given the fact that HuoHuo's has a max healing of, that's triggering it 6 times, of 2,480, it's kind of obvious that Luocha's talent just blows hers out of the water with how much healing it can do. 2 hits with Luocha's talent active is over 3,000, which is already more than HuoHuo's, and there is no cap. So yeah, it just has much higher ceiling of what it can heal. But where HuoHuo's healing makes up for it is in the skill, with Luocha's skill only healing 60% of his attack plus 800, which comes out to about 2,559. So quite a bit less than the 4,603, but you get a free cast of his skill every few turns, so it kind of evens out a bit. So we're kind of seeing here that HuoHuo has really high burst healing with her skill, with her with her talent just being a little bit of sustain, just a little bit bonus on top. Where Luocha has a lot of his healing focused in his talent, which I didn't realize how strong this was until I did the math. I thought it was like, oh, it's just a little bit here and there. You know, that's a lot of healings, 1,500 per turn. Someone can go attack, ult, and that's 3,000 healing. That's insane. But there is one thing about HuoHuo that I have not mentioned yet. That I think really gives her a bit of a leg up in her comparison to Luocha. And that is her ability to cleanse much more efficiently than Luocha can. Luocha only can cleanse on his skill, whether it be manually casting it or the automatic cast when an ally falls below 50%. While HuoHuo can cleanse with her talent. If her talent procs on an ally, it cleanses them. So she's pumping out cleanses. While her healing might not be as much, she really is just cleansing constantly. It makes it really hard for debuffs to stick on your team if you're using a HuoHuo. But the lack of healing can really hurt, because you'll just get times where HuoHuo is at the end of the turn cycle, and someone in the second to last person in the turn cycle is about to go down, and you need to heal them, but you just can't. So because of that, I feel like HuoHuo is really good in a double sustain comp, such as with like Fire Trailblazer or Japard. But I don't think she's as good as a solo sustain as Luocha is, just because her healing is not as good. But when paired with a secondary sustain, like I mentioned, Fire Trailblazer or Japard, the shielding in combination with the cleansing just makes it impossible for your team to die. So I think she pairs really well with like a comp that's, for instance, my brain, HuoHuo, Japard, Blade, and I don't know, Bronya. I feel like that could work very, very well. Or you could even go like Ting Yun or Yukong as your, or just even like Inhibitor Lune. So I feel like she's not as good as a solo sustain, is what I'm trying to say. Her healing isn't there, like her, and relying on her skill almost exclusively for healing is just not going to be reliable, because you'll just get overrun or one shot. Or like, yeah, that's just an issue I've been having when trying to run her as a solo sustain. Just my Ting Yun just refuses to not die. She's just constantly dying all the time. And with Luocha can keep her alive really no problem, but HuoHuo's been struggling with that, and it just makes me becomes aware that she just does not have the sustain that Luocha does on her own. So do I think she's good? Yes, she's amazing. She's great for what she is good at, which is cleansing and buffing with her ults, which I didn't mention. Her ults is insane. Regenerating energy for the team, as well as giving an attack boost. With an average... So this will usually units have energy cost between 100 and like 120, some going up to like 140. And this regenerating a percent of their max energy rather than just like a flat fixed amount means that it's really, really good. It's a lot better at restoring units that have a high energy cost ults, like, where is he at? Imbiber, who has an ult cost of 140. I think even, I tend to run her with Jing Yuan more, because Imbiber is very skill point hungry. But I think even Jing Yuan does he have an expensive ults? Yeah, 130. So she pairs a lot really well with high ability cost units.
Life is as ephemeral as dew on a leaf, and full of worldly strife.
Jing Yuan, why are you talking to me right now? But so yeah, that's my opinions on HuoHuo, as well as the math to back up that she's not as good as a straight up healer. If you're just looking for health points to be like, I'm just gonna. He's talking too much. If you're just looking for someone to dump health into your team, Luocha will be better for that. But if you want someone who can constantly pumping out cleanses, as well as buffing your team, then HuoHuo is for you. So if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense. Until next time, adios.